This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. November is Men's Health Awareness Month, so Talkspace wants guys to know that being prepared for life's biggest challenges and opportunities means prioritizing mental health, too. Talkspace can help you go beyond fine-tuned workouts, supplements, and productivity hacks. Talkspace can help you fine-tune your inner life so you can succeed in being the best version of yourself in any situation. And with Talkspace, you can get therapy from anywhere and on your time. You can even text your therapist between sessions. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace takes most insurance, and most insured members have a $0 copay. Men's Health Awareness Month is the perfect time to reach out to Talkspace. Now, get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com and save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com. That's Talkspace.com, promo code SPACE80.
Welcome to the KSL Real Estate Show. Hear updates on the national and local Utah real estate markets. We cover residential and commercial properties. Plus, get inspiring ideas to make your house a home from our sponsor, Osmond Designs. Here's Heather Osmond and Jeff Caplan on KSL News Radio.
Welcome to the Real Estate Show. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jeff Caplan. Heather Osmond is here from Osmond Designs. Her stores are in Orem and Lehigh.
Yes, they are. And you're not going to believe this. We are putting up Christmas this week. I actually feel guilty
Come
even
on.
saying that.
Really?
Isn't that? It seems so wrong. And
Go earlier.
Do it. I mean, right around 4th of July. Let's just start with Christmas, right? I think that we are the last retailer to put it up, which is just messed up. I'm really, really sorry. But, you know, I do have to say it's already selling.
I mean, lights, the music.
So we haven't done the music yet, but we do have all the ornaments. We have gorgeous trees up. We also have all your Thanksgiving decor, and we have Halloween as well. And, you know, how you decorate your home really does make a difference, especially when you're trying to sell your home. Today we have Dan Evans. He's our guest. He is one of the all-time top real estate agents in the entire state of Utah. You guys, I'm not even just saying this because Dan's in the studio. Like, it's real.
It's true.
It is true. Dan, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Dan is a regular, and he always knows what's going on in Utah and in real estate. So what are the biggest headlines shaping real estate in Utah right now, Dan?
Thanks for asking. And we should talk about holidays and selling your home during the holidays a little bit too. But the biggest headlines right now I run across is people ask, with the Fed changing rates, how does that affect mortgage rates? And is there going to be a better time to buy coming up here pretty soon? And the really short answer is, who knows? But the longer answer is that with the Fed rate that dropped here a few weeks ago, leading up to it, mortgage rates dropped for a month. And then when the Fed rate dropped, mortgage rates went up 0.25%. We had the Fed rate go down 0.25%, mortgage rates went up 0.25%. Since then, they're up another 0.25% or so. But over the next little while, if the Fed continues to drop rates, we will likely see something similar to that in the mortgage department.
This is what they say: buy the rumor, sell the news.
Exactly. And that's what happened is August, if you look at the stats, August was one of the bigger surges year over year for inventory, so homes on the market, than we had in the last 2 decades. And sales this year are somewhat similar to last year for the state of Utah and nationwide. But as the Fed starts to drop rates, we should see most things become a little bit more affordable again. A really good example of it is a home that needs to be remodeled today is not an opportunity or exciting. It's an expensive project. And so that's what you see quite often.
And Dan, you know all about that right now because we were just talking off air that you are updating the entire exterior of your home.
Yes.
And it's expensive.
It's expensive. And so, I mean, it's a good example of what people do. We bought our home during COVID. We remodeled the inside, and as a father of young kids, I'd recommend not doing that, especially if you have boys. Let them trash the house and then remodel it.
Which would be never.
But the exterior, so for us, eventually we're going to sell the home. And even though we've done the inside of the home, the exterior is of its time. And so if it was built in an era where there was a specific style, you have to be careful about updating that. I mean, one thing that we were discussing is windows aren't cheap. And when my home was built, they also didn't maximize some of the views that they do now. So not only are we expanding windows, but we're buying windows. We're putting a lot of money in, but we'll see that back out when we go to sell the home.
But you're being really smart about it, which I think is fantastic. A lot of what you're doing is just paint. Paint is the most inexpensive way to update the exterior of your home. If you have, a really muddy, Tuscan brown color, paint that a beautiful cream and everything is different.
Doesn't work if you have vinyl.
No, do not paint your vinyl. We're talking hardy. We're talking brick.
Yeah.
Stone's a little bit harder. I'm not a huge fan of painting stone. I think it's better to replace the stone. It always looks fake. But those are just some really inexpensive ways to update your home in a beautiful way. Front door is another great way, right?
Exactly.
First impressions.
Yeah, and it makes a difference. And even for us is you get into the book called If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, is you do one thing.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I love that book.
I mean, it's near and dear because I have little kids. But it's something where one project usually means you end up doing 2 or 3 more. So that Tuscan style, which we have an abundance of in Utah, that Tuscan style, if you redo the exterior and paint, say the stucco or the cement board or the brick, you have windows that are usually a cream colored window. And there are companies that will paint windows. However, if you want to modernize a home, I would say that nothing really changes the look of a home like paint and windows. It is a game changer to do it, and expensive.
And totally worth it. And it's just about being smart where you spend your money, because there are places that if you spend your money, you won't get it back out, but you may enjoy it, and that's okay too. But if you are thinking of selling your home, there are specific things that you should be doing and other things that you should not. Where Dan is doing his exterior right now, that, now he needs to update the interior to match the exterior, right? So when you give a mouse a cookie, we're going down that road. But a lot of these things, like we said, paint, easy. And for a lot of people, they'll remodel the interior but not do anything with the exterior. A lot of house flippers, they'll do a crappy job of the inside and the outside, but those homes sell. I mean, they sell with a lot of problems, but they sell because they look aesthetically pleasing inside and out.
The margins on flipping are falling. I mean, I have so many statistics that I don't know what they mean to share with everybody this week. Yeah. The margins on flipping have gone down substantially over the past 2 years.
Correct.
How about that? That is correct. Okay, here's another one, Mr. Home Renovator. The Home Depot prices are up 3.4%. Home renovations and home repairs up 3.4% in the August report. Is that what you're finding when you go get materials?
Well, as a recent purchaser of things like windows and such, things are more expensive.
Okay, here's another one. The average that inventory that's now on the market in Utah, I might have this one wrong, it just crossed my desk this morning. The average price for these homes, $971,000. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. It's an interesting dynamic we have in Utah where we're not the cute little affordable state that we used to be.
All right. Well, thanks. I just disgorged everything in my head. You guys go ahead.
Dan, what are you hearing most from your buyers and sellers today? What are they looking for?
So along with Jeff, it's interesting is everything feels very expensive. And, you and I have talked about this a bunch. We probably have even talked about this on the show, is everything feels very expensive today. And in the rearview mirror, we think, man, that was so cheap. I mean, a great example, you and I have both been in the industry since that great recession in 2008. And I remember in 2007 and leading up to the recession, everything felt so expensive leading to that. Now looking at those prices in 2008, those are just bargains on bargains compared to what they were. So time heals a lot of expense. But what I hear from a lot of people is seller expectations and buyer expectations are as far apart as I have ever seen. Buyers think the world is falling. I should get homes for 30 cents on the dollar. Sellers think, hey, I have a great house. And 4 years ago, my neighbors sold with 10 offers. Why can't I get that price now?
It's so true. And I think that is the overall theme here in Utah is sellers think their homes are worth $1 million and buyers want to pay $500, and making that a win-win is a challenge. And that's why you need someone like Dan Evans, who's a real estate expert, to just be a therapist and a counselor and try and make people see reality. And like, it's not what you think, but let's get you the best price that makes it a win-win for both.
So when you have this chasm between the two sides, where are they landing when they actually do deals right now?
It's a little bit, that's a great question, is there's a little bit of education on both sides. And for a buyer, a lot of buyers think, let's come in, let's offer. And if they don't have any competition or any pressure, or if they've seen a certain home be on the market for, say, 3 or 4 months and see price reduction after price reduction after price reduction, they think we have a license to offer really low. And then on the seller side, they think we're below what we thought we would originally take. And so we're a huge discount. So for us as a seller's agent, I'm trying to educate the buyers and the buyer agent on, hey, here's our value proposition with this home. Yeah, it's been on the market for a little while, but it's only because we shot a little bit high. And for the buyers, and actually going back to that, with a lot of sellers, is we're now facing, say, pricing that's a little bit lower than what they had wanted when we originally listed. Is I had one seller in particular, and I thought this was a great line. I learned it from someone else, but they said, we got an offer, and I said to the seller, would you buy your house at this price today? So it was like a $3 million home. We had an offer at 2.5. I'm like, would you pay 2.5 for your home? He's like, heck no. I'm like, that's exactly why we should take that offer. That's a great price for you. And so sometimes it's just simply putting things in perspective.
I think so too. And just knowing what you want. And at the time, that home was probably a great fit for his family, and upsizing, downsizing. We're seeing all price points doing all different things. I feel like it's just chaos in the market. No one knows. Just make offers, see what hits. And oftentimes it's just timing. It's price and it's timing. And that's why having a real estate agent like Dan Evans of Summit Realty is so important. You're paying the same amount whether you have an experienced agent or a brand new agent. You're listening to the KSL Real Estate Show. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. November is Men's Health Awareness Month, so Talkspace wants guys to know that being prepared for life's biggest challenges and opportunities means prioritizing mental health, too. Talkspace can help you go beyond fine-tuned workouts, supplements, and productivity hacks. Talkspace can help you fine-tune your inner life so you can succeed in being the best version of yourself in any situation. And with Talkspace, you can get therapy from anywhere and on your time. You can even text your therapist between sessions. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace takes most insurance, and most insured members have a $0 copay. Men's Health Awareness Month is the perfect time to reach out to Talkspace. Now, get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com and save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com. That's Talkspace.com, promo code SPACE80.
Get back to doing with bath updates that make a big impact. Level up your guest bath with on-trend vanities, faucets, fixtures, and hardware in the latest finishes. Impress your guests and find it all at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Nestled in Cache Valley, Connect Transit is bringing people together one ride at a time. Here comes Caroline, ready to crush that big meeting. Mm-hmm. And there's Diego, off to see his nieces and nephews. George is in his jersey. Must be game time. Woo! Go Aggies. Wherever you need to go, we're going your way. Connect Transit. Visit rideconnectutah.gov to find your ride today.
It's the story of an American held in a dark Venezuelan prison.
Then all of a sudden they all kind of lined up. They pointed their guns at me. And this is the point where I thought, I'm going to die today.
I'm Becky Bruce. I spent a year working on Hope in Darkness, which now has more than 2 million downloads. Find it on kslpodcast.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We're back with the KSL Real Estate Show, sponsored by Osmond Designs on KSL News Radio.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Show. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jeff Caplan. Heather Osmond is here from Osmond Designs. Her stores are in Lehigh and Orem.
Yes, they are. And I love doing this radio show. I love real estate. I've made more money investing in real estate than I have ever made in selling furniture. I know you're going to be surprised, Jeff, but even in selling pillows. I make more money in real estate than selling pillows. But I will tell you, it is a great time to be here in Utah and selling real estate. and investing in real estate. It is great to be a landlord. Rent prices are high, inventory seems to be fairly low, and it's great. However, if you're a seller, it's maybe not so great timing right now. Dan Evans with Summit Realty is on the show with us today. And Dan, we just want to give maybe some really good advice to all of our listeners who are thinking of selling their home, what to do, what not to do, and everything in between.
Yeah, it's a common question, and really nice setup, by the way, too. That was really good.
Thanks, Dan.
So right now with sellers in particular, if you have a new home or a custom build, and we're talking about higher price points, but if you have a new home or custom build, those homes sell at a premium and they sell competitively. We had a home that I had a buyer on over near the mouth of Little Cottonwood Canyon. And that home had been redone by a great builder called Jackson Leroy. I guess that's free advertising. But it was a nice home on an acre lot. And that was one of the rare homes where I saw it. It was in great shape. It was priced well. And of course, it went almost within 2 days and it had 3 offers on it. On the flip side, you have a lot of holiday where these are sitting on gorgeous tree-lined 1, 2, 3 acre lots. And if the home isn't completely up to date, you have to almost price it where you're pricing it for the land only and not the house. So as a seller, if you're selling something and if it's a beautiful home and you have a nice heritage to it, there is some level of pricing that you need to consider for people to come in and remodel it or make it their own if it isn't custom and brand new.
Is it better to do the remodeling yourself?
That's the question of the day. So when we meet with people, we talk to them about their timeline. If you have a short timeline, it's not worth going through the hassle or doing anything if you need to sell your home in a month. If you have a timeline or if you say, I would like to sell next year, I think it's absolutely worth doing whatever you can. And that's where you get good companies like Osmond Design. You get staging companies. You can update your home. People want the easy button as many times as they can get it. So if your home is easy and ready to move in, they will overpay for it, even now.
Oh, for sure. And buying a home is so emotional. I think that sometimes gets overlooked, but there's so many. I'm going to just categorize women, and I can say this because I am one, but we go in and we say, I want this house. I love the paint. I love the carpet. I love the kitchen. And every other home they look at is just not going to work. And so then the husband's stuck trying to figure out how to afford the house that the wife has her heart set on. So if you can push all those buttons and make sure that the paint is touched up, that the windows, all those things that we're talking about, Dan, if you can afford to do those, especially in the luxury home market, those people are very successful. They don't have time to waste. They don't want a fixer-upper project, most of them. And they just want to plug and play, which is probably why that Jackson Leroy home sold. It was beautifully done. They probably purchased most of the furniture. They just wanted to move in, bring their clothes, and they're done, right?
Exactly. I mean, that was someone's probably 2-year project to have that home up to date. And when they sell it, people will overpay because it looks like what you see in a magazine. But if you're a seller and you can do things, I mean, there are some subtle things you can do if you have, say, a slightly dated home. A couple of little small tips just off the top of my head is, let's say you have a home that's in the Tuscan era or isn't just a stark white. Door handles and hardware throughout the house. That is a really easy thing that costs a few $1,000s that changes the look of the inside of the home.
Light fixtures.
Light fixtures is another huge one. Another one is your light switch plates or your outlets.
Wow.
Those are usually the color of whatever the paint is for the home. And so when we were talking earlier about when people update an inside, they need to do the outside. If you repaint the house, those light switches are colored for the previous paint. It is the easiest, no-brainer thing to do. Another subtle, really subtle couple of things is a really clean garage with an epoxy floor is a showstopper, and it subtly tells people these people take care of things. That epoxy floor, for whatever reason, they think this seller is a really careful person.
Do you hire somebody to put down an epoxy floor?
Definitely.
I can't think of the job of cleaning that garage floor and all the dust bunnies and whatever else is down there before you get to the painting part.
Yeah, and I Googled it one time, and I got about a third the way through how to do your own epoxy floor, and I called someone. So it's not worth my time.
Well, and I've seen the DIY epoxy floors versus the professional epoxy floors, and it really is night and day. And guys really do love those garages. Those are huge selling features. So it's like a kitchen for a woman. You just don't mess with those areas. If you can just repaint, have it look beautiful, especially on those older homes, it does make all the difference in the world.
Can I flip this discussion on the side? Because if you're buying that house, the same one we're talking about, it's been brought up to date. You don't have to do a lot of work on it, yet still, I don't think anyone's ever bought a home and after the purchase have to put money into it. Is there a rule of thumb, even though you say, I'm tapped out, I can't spend any more money, how much is that person going to spend customizing the home they just bought?
Oh, man. And that's a really good question. And that runs the gamut. And I imagine Heather sees it too. You see a wide range of people's comfort with how much money they have. And so if you're not taxing things, almost everybody will customize a home to some degree. The idea as a seller is you're making it to where they don't have to if they don't want to. So, I mean, for a larger home, you're usually looking at light fixtures, window treatments, furniture, and then sometimes even paint or wallpaper is usually what you see if the home is up to date and looking nice.
For sure. And I don't know any buyer that doesn't want to add their own little flavor, their own little touch to their home. So keep that in mind. You're listening to the KSL Real Estate Show. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Get back to doing with bath updates that make a big impact. Level up your guest bath with on-trend vanities, faucets, fixtures, and hardware in the latest finishes. Impress your guests and find it all at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Nestled in Cache Valley, Connect Transit is bringing people together one ride at a time. Here comes Caroline, ready to crush that big meeting. Mm-hmm. And there's Diego, off to see his nieces and nephews. George is in his jersey. Must be game time. Woo! Go Aggies. Wherever you need to go, we're going your way. Connect Transit. Visit rideconnectutah.gov to find your ride today.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. In October of 1985, a woman named Cherie Warren left work at a busy Salt Lake City office
to meet her estranged husband at a downtown auto dealership.
She never made it home. Cherie's car surfaced weeks later in Las Vegas.
In the parking lot of a hotel casino.
No one knows how it got there.
Strange. It was strange.
Both Cherie's estranged husband and her boyfriend raised suspicion for investigators.
I kind of thought that he might have done something.
But no arrests were ever made. In Cold Season 3, we dig into double lives, make new connections in the case, and examine the difficulty raised by reasonable doubt.
We want answers just as much as anyone else.
They have creeps like that now too, so nothing's changed.
That's the new Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, now available anywhere you get your podcasts.
Welcome to the KSL Real Estate Show. Hear updates on the national and local Utah real estate markets. We cover residential and commercial properties. Plus, get inspiring ideas to make your house a home from our sponsor, Osmond Designs. Here's Heather Osmond and Jeff Caplan on KSL News Radio.
Welcome to the Real Estate Show. We're glad you're listening. I'm Jeff Caplan. Heather Osmond is here from Osmond Designs. Her stores are in Lehigh and Orem.
Yes, and today we have Dan Evans. He is a real estate agent with Summit Realty, a luxury real estate agent, I will say, one of the best in the business, and he's a regular on this show. And I always love having Dan on because he has so much knowledge. He's one of the hardest working real estate agents that I know. Has an incredible support system. I mean, you guys are just getting after it. You're calling people. You're not sitting around waiting for the phone to ring. And I absolutely love that. Not only do you help buyers, you also help sellers. In the previous segment, we were giving some tips and tricks to sellers, what to do, what not to do. We were just scratching the surface with that. So let's pick that back up. Your exterior is where you should probably start. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. So you want to make sure that that is dialed in. Not only do we talk about that, but Dan's currently doing that on his own personal home right now, which is fun and expensive and dirty and all the things. So Dan, you know a little bit about that. And then you move on into the inside.
Exactly. And when you're going to sell a home, it's not your home anymore. And so there is some level of expense you should take on, because at that point, we were talking about flippers a little bit earlier, but to some degree, you're kind of flipping your own house. So the things that bug you, you should probably take care of. But as we were talking about interior remodel, one thought was, so for easy exterior fixes, really easy ones, obviously you could hire a landscaper just to trim up your yard. New garage doors. If you're in a 3-car or a 4-car garage, it's about $20,000 for a really, really, really nice garage. So under 20 gets you something nice. A garage door changes the look of your house. And so if I'm selling a $2 or $3 or $4 or $5 million home, the garage door that came with the home in 2002 probably isn't going to cut it. Another really good thing, if you have the time and the money, is windows, of course, but repainting surfaces changes how a house looks. Stucco can be painted so easily. You have cement board can be painted so easily. I'm not a huge fan of painting brick, but you can paint brick pretty easily. The one item on the outside that we see that gets overlooked a lot is light fixtures. Light fixtures, you almost always see a light fixture accenting the garage or around the front porch, and there are always of the era that the home was built. But a little bit of money spent completely changes the look of the home. Because the idea is you're not trying to change the home. You're trying to show that you as a seller have put money into the home in an intelligent manner, and that's why it's worth the top dollar you're asking for it.
For sure. Okay, so Dan, let's use your home as an example again, right? So you have this incredible view lot.
Yeah.
Huge windows. We were talking about your master bedroom. So currently your headboard wall is on your view wall, but it's just a wall. So you are taking out that wall and you're making a huge wall of windows and then actually moving your bed to another wall so that you can take advantage of that.
Exactly. And so, and you're bringing up a good point subtly, is how do you highlight accent the highlights or feature the highlights of the home? So my home is on a view lot. And for some reason, when the seller built that home, the architect and the seller didn't think about the fact that the east wall of my house is looking at a canyon and looking at the valley. And instead, there's a big wall there with some tiny accent windows.
How'd they miss that?
I don't know. But I mean, you look at a lot of homes and the design is it's the design. And so if I were to build the home from scratch, I would want to be laying in my bed and looking at the valley and looking at the canyon. So we came in and bought it, and it wasn't a perfect layout for us. It wasn't a perfect anything, but now we're redoing it to where now we can really appreciate the highlights.
And then you'll have to decide, should I stay or should I go? Once you get it all remodeled, you might actually like it and need to stay there, right? So I don't know.
Exactly. There's always a chance you move. And so when you're doing a project like this that is not insubstantial, it's an expensive project, is some of it is for resale and some of it is for your own enjoyment. So
what kind of return on the money you're going to spend on this place? What kind of return would you expect? Not in dollars, but, percentage.
Right now, 0. That's how it feels.
Thanks, Dan.
Dan's just real.
No, I'm just kidding. So my expectation is that the exterior remodel will take our home from a home of its era to then being a current home. So our expectation is that the money we're spending brings us to a today's price per square foot versus the price per foot of a home built in that era. So, I mean, I bet we probably get a 20% return on the money we're spending on the exterior alone, because that will completely transform our house.
Do you think money you spend on the interior will additionally add to a selling price?
Absolutely. So we redid the main floor of our home. And we stopped ourselves. Let me back up. I have 3 small boys, and we were going to do a whole home remodel 3 years ago. And someone wisely told us that because we have boys, and boys are wonderful people, but they destroy stuff. So they
you
counseled.
can say this.
They gave us advice to say, maybe redo a bathroom or two downstairs, but leave the downstairs to be the destruction spot for the kids, which was really wise words. So we redid the upstairs, and I think we'll get close to double our money off of what we did. We spent quite a bit of money on the kitchen. We redid some things to create a butler's pantry and a great room. And then our bathroom is now like a spa-like bathroom. And we spent a lot of money on it, but we will double it because that's easy button for someone who wants something really nice.
I'm getting such a headache from just thinking about all the work I can do in my house. You know what I hear in the back of my head? These people who say it is more effective and efficient at this point in time to rent instead of owning.
There's an argument for that.
I mean, in home ownership, it's not necessarily an investment in the way that you could buy stock or other things, but you are buying something. If you have a mortgage on it, you're paying it down. But what you're doing is if you add to it perpetually, you'll see that money back 2 and 3 times. What I hear really often, and Heather could probably say that, is you go to sell a home that was a parade home a decade ago or 2 decades ago, and it is a fixture in time. It hasn't changed, and they think it's supposed to be top dollar for today. But things change. You got to change along with them.
And in design, things will always change. So if you can keep it as classic and neutral as possible, that will always be a winner for you and be a great investment. And then there's just times where you just want that crazy floral wallpaper in your half bath and you just do it. And because you love it and you just know, if and when I ever sell this house, that probably may not be the taste of that specific buyer. I'm not going to get a return on investment on that, but I love it. And I think more than ever, your home needs to be a place that you love to be. So whether it's I need to change the countertop because I have granite and now I want quartz, or I want quartzite, or I want marble, or whatever that may be, or like Dan, where he's just taken out the whole back of his house for that master bedroom wall because that's how it should have been done in the beginning, and you will enjoy it for the next 5, 10, 20 years, or next year if you decide to sell your home. What a great investment for you and your family, because that's really where you need to go home and relax. You work really, really hard. You will get your money out of that. And I think those are great tips. Okay, so let's change subjects and go to buyers. What are some tips and tricks for buyers today, Dan?
Well, Jeff mentioned earlier, hey, what do people spend once they get into a home? That is a real thing. And I think when you're buying a home, depending on the price point, you need to consider that. Am I walking into a home and keeping it the way it is? Or am I walking into a home and I'm interested in remodeling? I mean, that's the first thought right off the bat.
Well, I think of the people who finally get into their first home and they have to have those paper folding shades because they can't afford. But no, it's a serious problem for people getting in.
I've done that.
Well, I was going to say we've all been there. That's why we're laughing. Is with new construction especially. So if you're a starter home buyer or you're buying new construction, the hidden cost of new construction is there's a giant hidden cost. You have landscaping, you have window treatments, you're starting, fridge, all appliances, everything. And so there's substantial cost to that. And if you're building a new home, and let's say you're getting a nice Ivory home or a nice Symphony home, you have a $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $200,000 after cost too, with yard and everything.
Oh, for sure. And not only that, but usually when you're building a home and they say, oh, it's going to be, let's say, $800,000. So you budget for that, you plan for that, and then you go to all these design appointments, at their design center. And well, it's just, 10% more to add here.
8 is 9 very quickly.
It is 9. Yeah. So you have to plan for those things. And then you get into your beautiful home and your furniture doesn't fit how you thought it would be. And then you have to buy new furnishings. I mean, it's just... Homes are money pits and they're wonderful, and it's the best investment you will ever make, and it's so much fun. After you get into your own home, then we get to start talking about how to invest in other homes, whether that be another single family home, whether that be duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, multifamily, condominium projects. I mean, everything. Retail shopping centers, the sky's the limit. And that's why it is so important to have a real estate agent that is on the front lines that can help you through this process, and an interior designer that can say, spend money here, don't spend money here. You won't get it here. You will get it there. And as a buyer walking in, you cannot get emotionally attached. This is a numbers game. These are huge dollars. So you really should be doing charts and graphs at home.
You should.
Before you even start driving around and fall in love with an area. Of course you do. You want to look at the schools and narrow things down, but really do your homework and then go get emotionally attached to the house and then figure out a way to talk your husband into getting you the house that you want. That's a little advice for women here.
And I mean, a lot of buyers come into it and they think, I'm going to be logical about this purchase. And it is an emotional decision. I don't care how good you are with an Excel spreadsheet or how analytical you are. It is an emotional purchase. So you are making an emotional decision. And if affordability is not an issue, so if you're buying a home within your means, I have never heard someone say, I regret putting in these extra features in our home. What I usually hear is, I wish we had done X. And so even though you're writing lots of checks and money's going out the door, spending a little extra money, if you have it, is a smart thing to do when you're buying a place.
Oh, for sure. And then also realizing what price point you're at. Is this a stepping stone to hopefully getting your dream home? Because that's not the place that you want to splurge and waste money, because you want to make as much money as you can. So be a smart investor. Sacrifice now so that you can get what you want later. You're listening to the KSL Real Estate Show today. Our guest is Dan Evans. He is a real estate agent with Summit Realty. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
From Salt Lake City to Arches, Utah roads are full of surprises. But AAA is your membership to go. It's roadside support that travels with you and starts at less than $6 a month. Add loved ones to your membership for 50% off. Call or visit your local branch today.
Get back to doing with bath updates that make a big impact. Level up your guest bath with on-trend vanities, faucets, fixtures, and hardware in the latest finishes. Impress your guests and find it all at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Nestled in Cache Valley, Connect Transit is bringing people together one ride at a time. Here comes Caroline, ready to crush that big meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Diego, off to see his nieces and nephews. George is in his jersey. Must be game time.
Woo!
Go Aggies! Wherever you need to go, we're going your way. Connect Transit. Visit rideconnectutah.gov to find your ride today.
2 years ago, Americans watched in horror as a crisis unfolded at the Kabul airport.
She was tear-gassed and beaten.
Images of thousands desperate to escape Taliban oppression filled our news feeds. More than 80,000 Afghans made it to America. But the story didn't end there.
It was very cold. There was no power, no heat.
Who would help our newest neighbors? I'm Andrea Smartin. In Stranger Becomes Neighbor, you'll hear the stories of some remarkable refugees who left their homes and their dreams behind, only to start over from zero.
Their only possession was 3 blankets.
And you'll meet Americans who stepped up to help them.
You want me to come when you deliver your baby.
What can one person do in the face of an international disaster decades in the making? That's Stranger Becomes Neighbor. Find us at kslpodcast.com, follow us on Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you listen.
We're back with the KSL Real Estate Show, sponsored by Osmond Designs on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Show. Thanks for listening. I'm Jeff Caplan. Heather Osmond is here from Osmond Designs. Her stores are in Lehigh and Orem.
Yes, they are. And today's show has really been focused on giving sellers and buyers tips and tricks on how to improve their home. If you are planning on staying in your home, that's great too. We would love to help you make your home someplace that you would love to be. Before we get into tips for buyers, I do want to give a shout out to Central Bank. They are the sponsor of this KSL Real Estate Show, and they have locations all across the Wasatch Front. I love Central Bank. They believed in me and my vision of Osmond Designs furniture and interior design stores before I even knew really what I was doing. And I really, really appreciate them. And I would not be where I am today without their help. They do new construction loans. They do car loans. They do kids savings plans, all the good things. So please check out Central Bank. Okay, moving on. Dan Evans, tips for buyers. What would you say to them today?
Oh, we were discussing a few things about money after you purchase. So if I were a buyer, and we'll keep it price range neutral. How's that? Even though we tend to focus on luxury homes, I thought here's some things to look for. And even when we've talked a lot, probably more about my house than I ever wanted to. But when that home came available, and it was something where I heard about it because a guy called me to sell his house, is our backyard is on a canyon. It's east facing. So our backyard faces east. We have a view of the valley. There aren't a lot of those out there. And I thought, regardless of how the home looks, there's not a lot of that in Salt Lake Valley. And so when you're buying a home, I would look at some pros to look for are things like, say, views. People will overpay for views. A larger yard that looks nice. People will always pay for those. Access to schools or restaurants. There's a reason why Holiday is such an expensive area is you're close to everything. Others would be close to canyons for skiing or recreation. And then obviously the neighborhood. You want to be in a neighborhood that's congruent with what you have. You don't want to be the home in a townhome neighborhood. You don't want to be the mansion in a bunch of starter homes. You want to have somewhat contiguous area. And that's one thing I hear from out-of-state buyers often is if you go to Vegas, you see a bunch of gated communities around Vegas. Or if you go to Scottsdale or Phoenix, same thing. Utah, things just kind of blend in and out of each other a little bit. So having a nice notable area helps. Some don'ts. And this is the things you should avoid if you are buying a home. I would avoid major power lines overhead or behind your home. Doesn't matter how cheap the home is. I've heard so many people over my career say, I got such a good deal. And you got a good deal because you're staring at power lines every day.
I saw a development going up underneath power lines, and all I could think was, who buys this? And wow, that must be inexpensive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's who buys it is, hey, we can get it. But if you got a good deal on a home, unless you can change the things that gave you a good deal, you're going to be giving someone a good deal when you go to sell it.
I mean, some of these people find out that you hear the zzz, zzz, zzz from the power lines
It's so
above.
true. Yeah. Double yellow, white
I was gonna
white
say,
lines, right? Is another
double
one.
yellow lines. Busy roads are a huge deterrent. One that I didn't quite appreciate earlier in my career, and I do now, is if you back up to commercial. So if you back up to a shopping center or restaurants, that's not a benefit, even though you can walk around. But seeing a 7-Eleven sign in your backyard isn't the best thing in the world if you're looking to buy. The other, and this is one that I think might be slightly controversial, is if the neighborhood isn't well kept. Just because you want to be the well-kept home, neighborhoods tend to stay the same until they change over. And so a well-kept neighborhood makes a big difference. Being this, one other thing to avoid is, I think we mentioned, is the larger square footage. Just because it's big square footage on a small lot doesn't make it great. It just means you have big square footage on a small lot. So a lot of people will make the mistake of getting a big home. I mean, even in near my house, there are 12,000 square foot homes, and they're on a 3rd-acre lot.
Oh, that's shoehorned onto it.
That's a townhome. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's no yard.
There's no yard. So having space. Another big one is, if you can at all possible, if you're buying a home, is a home where you're offset from the backyard neighbor or you don't see the backyard neighbor is a big, big benefit. When it comes to looking at 2 or 3 homes, if you have privacy, that matters.
It really does. And some of those things you can fix. You can plant trees. There's ways to get around things, but just overall, these are some great tips and tricks. Dan, how do people find you?
The easiest way to find me is my number. My actual mobile number is 801-372-3512. It's 801-372-3512. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, social media at the evansteamutah.com. That's also our website, evansteamutah.com.
Excellent. Whether you are buying or selling or just wanting to remodel your home, this knowledge that we've given you today will be so helpful and hopefully save you thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's where experts like Dan Evans and his team at Summit Realty really do make a difference. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on the KSL Real Estate Show.
Get back to doing with bath updates that make a big impact. Level up your guest bath with on-trend vanities, faucets, fixtures, and hardware in the latest finishes. Impress your guests and find it all at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.